The city of Metropolis had always been a place of towering ambition, technological marvels, and people bustling through their everyday lives. It was a city that had seen many battles, but none like the one unfolding in the heart of it. Deep within the city's core, two of the greatest powers the world had ever known now faced each other. It wasn't a battle driven by hatred or personal vendetta, but one forced by circumstance, by an undeniable force that could not be ignored. The city trembled beneath the weight of their impending conflict, unaware of the devastation that would soon unfold. Hulk had arrived first. His massive form crashed down into the streets, sending waves of destruction through the surroundings. Buildings cracked and crumbled under the sheer weight of his fury. Each footstep he took created tremors, sending cars careening into the air, displacing debris. His skin, a dark shade of green, glistened with the heat of rage. His enormous muscles pulsed with an energy so raw and primal that even the ground beneath him seemed to buckle with his every movement. The Hulk's power was not something that could be contained or tamed. His anger fueled his strength, and with each passing second, his rage grew, pushing him to new limits. In the sky above, Superman watched the chaos from a distance. His cape fluttered in the wind, and his expression, usually one of hope and resolve, was etched with concern. He had faced many adversaries over the years, each one formidable in their own right. But Hulk was different. His strength was unyielding, and his rage was limitless. There was no predictability to it. What made the Hulk dangerous wasn't just his power, but the unpredictability of his emotions. He was a force of nature, impossible to predict and difficult to contain. Superman's mind raced as he descended towards the chaos. His thoughts were calculated, his eyes sharp. Every move he made, every strategy he conceived, was done with precision. He could not afford to lose this fight. Not because of pride or the desire to win, but because the destruction would be catastrophic. Metropolis, the very city he had sworn to protect, was at stake. He needed to act quickly before Hulk's anger completely destroyed everything in its path. The moment Superman landed, the sound of his feet touching the ground was drowned by the deafening roar of the Hulk. The Green Giant's eyes blazed with fury as he turned to face the Man of Steel. In that instant, there was no time for pleasantries, no room for strategy. Hulk charged, his fists swinging with the force of a battering ram, determined to crush his adversary. Superman barely had time to react, his reflexes working at their peak as he ducked and dodged the incoming blows. Each punch from the Hulk was like a thunderstrike, so powerful that the air itself seemed to vibrate with each swing. Superman's superhuman speed allowed him to evade the worst of the strikes, but the force of the impact was enough to send shockwaves through the ground beneath them. Every time Hulk's fist collided with the earth, the city seemed to tremble in response. Hulk, growing more furious with every missed blow, unleashed a primal roar that echoed through the streets. His strength surged once more, pushing him beyond what any human would be capable of withstanding. Each swing of his massive fist seemed to become more intense, his rage multiplying with each passing second. Superman, however, remained calm. His mind was a sharp instrument, calculating every move with an accuracy that only a being of his capabilities could possess. He couldn't let Hulk's fury dictate the flow of the battle. With a calculated maneuver, Superman flew high above the city, narrowly dodging a devastating punch from Hulk. He needed to gain some distance. The battle was not one of sheer strength alone. It was about outlasting his opponent. He knew that Hulk's strength was unparalleled when he was angry, but his ability to reason and strategize was limited. Superman, on the other hand, had the advantage of intelligence, speed, and the ability to think several steps ahead. As Superman hovered above the battlefield, he assessed the situation. Hulk's anger was growing by the second, and with it, his strength. The sheer intensity of Hulk's blows was already taking a toll on the city. Buildings were toppling, cars were being tossed like toys, and the streets were being torn apart. If this battle continued, Metropolis wouldn't survive. Superman knew that he couldn't afford to hold back any longer. The time had come to end this. He dove towards Hulk, his speed unmatched, as he struck with a blow that could have leveled a mountain. But to Superman's surprise, Hulk absorbed the hit with a grunt, his body seeming to absorb the impact, his strength only fueled further by the pain. Superman had underestimated the sheer resilience of the Hulk. The two titans collided once more, their bodies a blur of raw strength and power. Superman was faster, but Hulk was relentless. Each time Superman attempted to strike, Hulk was there, blocking, retaliating, his immense power overwhelming the Man of Steel. The battle waged on, the ground beneath them slowly breaking apart with each impact. The sky above darkened as the fight escalated. Superman's mind raced, realizing that his usual tactics would not work here. He couldn't simply overpower Hulk. Hulk's strength grew with his anger, and that was something Superman could not outmatch. He needed a new plan. He needed to drain Hulk's rage, to outlast the fury that drove him. With a burst of speed, Superman soared high into the atmosphere, escaping the immediate danger zone. He knew that he had to give Hulk a reason to tire, a reason to lose his focus. Hulk's rage was his strength, but it could also be his undoing. Superman had faced many threats, but this was different. This was not a battle that could be won through strength alone. This battle required patience, intelligence, and strategy. Hulk, however, was not so easily deterred. His eyes locked onto Superman, and with a furious bellow, he launched himself into the air, his massive form soaring toward the hero. Superman braced himself, knowing that he could not avoid this collision. He had to face it head-on. As Hulk neared, Superman launched himself forward to meet the beast in midair. Their collision was deafening, the shockwaves sending ripples through the air, creating a small explosion of energy that radiated outward. The force of the blow sent both combatants hurtling toward the ground, but Superman, ever resilient, regained his composure just before impact. He turned the fall into an advantage, propelling himself forward with all his strength as he tackled Hulk to the ground. But Hulk was far from defeated. His rage was boundless, his strength unmatched, and with a single swipe, he sent Superman flying across the ruined cityscape. Superman collided with a skyscraper, the force of the impact leaving a gaping hole in the structure. The building groaned under the weight of the collision, but Superman quickly rose to his feet, his eyes flashing with resolve. This battle was far from over. The battle between Superman and Hulk continued to escalate, each blow shaking the very foundations of Metropolis. Superman, though wounded, never faltered in his resolve. He knew that brute force alone wouldn't be enough to subdue Hulk. It wasn't until he noticed the sheer exhaustion beginning to creep into Hulk's movements, his blows slowing, his rage waning, that Superman realized the key to winning this battle. Hulk's fury, while endless in its power, was not infinite. With calculated precision, Superman shifted tactics, using his speed to dodge and frustrate Hulk, tiring him further. In the final moments, as Hulk roared in fury, Superman made his move. Using all his strength, he delivered a calculated blow to Hulk's chest, knocking him back with such force that the ground beneath them fractured. For a moment, the city fell silent, the air thick with the aftermath of their devastating battle. Hulk, his body battered and drained, fell to his knees. His rage had reached its peak, and now, with no more strength to fuel it, his body gave way. He collapsed to the ground unconscious, the fury that had powered him dissipating into nothingness. Superman stood over him, breathing heavily, his body bruised but unbroken. He had won, not by overpowering Hulk, but by outlasting him, by waiting for the anger to fade. The city lay in ruins, a testament to the battle they had waged. As the dust settled, Superman took a moment to survey the devastation. He had saved the city, but at what cost? In the distance, sirens wailed, signaling the arrival of emergency responders. Superman, ever the protector, took one last look at the fallen Hulk before disappearing into the sky, leaving behind a city that would rebuild and a hero who would carry the weight of its destruction.